the local bourse is firmer in midday trade, along with its global peers, as markets rose on hopes that China would dial back its COVID-19 curbs. Matete Thulare, head of foreign exchange execution at Rand Merchant Bank, joins us now to talk us through the latest market trends. The Rand is trading slightly higher. How sustainable are these gains? Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Hugo. I suppose, look, we failed at the 1630, 1635 levels, and it looks like the pressures have somewhat receded. Trade this morning opened up at 1613 with a downside bias, and obviously a lot of it rent risk, in the market. There's fears over China and the economy at this point in time. That didn't last for long, as the rally in Chinese technology stocks really revived appetite for risk, and that's boosted emerging market sentiment and the currencies and the stocks thereof. And the focus, I suppose, locally now shifts towards Thursday's monetary policy committee meeting with Lesetja Kganyago and team out in Pretoria. Already 15 out of 20 economists that were surveyed in a recent market survey are predicting a 50 basis point increase from the local Reserve Bank. So that said, also, that's going to play into the Rand market, but also year to date, we see the Rand being the second worst performing emerging market currency, having lost about 8.2% since the beginning of the year. So it just shows you, look, there's a lot of doom and gloom in the market, but nonetheless, I suppose, as we edge towards this 1604 level, if we do see some sort of good news come through in terms of the markets over the next couple of weeks, we could see ourselves going back below 16.
And the big question around Bitcoin, which edged above $30,000 in early trade, is what is fueling sentiment there?
So, look, Bitcoin has staged a modest recovery to trade below $30,000. That's extending a period of relief, in the market, especially after the collapse of closely watched stable coins, digital assets in the past week. What we've seen is that Bitcoin is almost 60% off its November all-time highs. Now, we've witnessed the rapid decline of major projects around the world, which has sent ripples across the industry, but also there's a newfound resilience in the market that has not really been seen in the last market downswing. So even after the recovery that we've seen over the past couple of days, the total market value of cryptocurrencies has dropped by another $350 billion in the past week to around $1.3 trillion. Now, the asset class, as on its own, faces numerous challenges, just like other asset classes, with a lot of guys looking at the rising global interest rates that we are seeing, and also tighter liquidity conditions, especially ahead of other central banks over the next couple of weeks.
Matete, oil prices eased in early trade. Talk us through the latest developments there, and if the recent fuel predictions will be long-standing.
So look, oil has hit its highest in 7 weeks this morning. That's been supported by the European Union ongoing discussions about a ban on Russian oil imports. Now, that would obviously limit the amount of supply and tighten that supply. And investors are really focused on the high demand from the easing of China's lockdowns in terms of COVID-19. Now, already a lot of foreign ministers out in the European Union already yesterday failed in their efforts to pressure Hungary to lift its veto on the proposed oil embargo. Now, some diplomats are talking about a summit on the 30th and 31st of May as the moment for an agreement on a phased ban on Russian oil. Now, crude has surged in 2022, obviously hitting $139 a barrel. That's its highest since 2008. In early March of this year, obviously on the back of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. That's really exacerbated the supply concerns that we are seeing in the market. Now, there is also an issue that is also further supporting these prices, is obviously the intensifying geopolitical tension that we are seeing between the European Union and Russia, as well as Sweden and Finland now looking to join NATO. Now, on the local front, petrol and diesel prices, as you allude to, that's going to be looking for a very large increases in the first week of June, in the next couple of days, adding to the blow, besides what we've seen in the oil market and obviously what we've seen in the Rand market, where we've seen significant increases in the oil prices and significant weakness in the Rand market. Adding to that blow for consumers is obviously the return of the fuel general levy. That's about $150 that was cut by the government for the past 2 months. That levy is now going to be restored at the end of May, and potentially now we could be seeing petrol price increase of around 3 Rand and above.
Looking painful. Well, Naspers Foundry has announced a 40 million rand investment in an agri-tech company, Nile. Talk us through that investment.
So now, I mean, if you just look at it, Naspers Foundry, which is the early stage tech investment vehicle that Naspers has founded, they've announced, this $2.5 million investment in Nile, which is an agri-tech company that actually connects farmers to buyers of fresh produce. Now, the Nile company operates in Botswana, Namibia, Mozambique, and Eswatini. So the transaction marks the 10th investment that Naspers Foundry has launched since 2019, and it forms part of their 1.4 billion investment commitment that they did launch at one of the investment summits that was hosted by the president. Now, a bit of background about Nile. That was founded in 2020, where they provide farmers with digital solutions that can address various pain points, with regards to food trading. Now, that also includes price transparency. It also involves speed of payment and the traceability of food and waste. So since its inception, they've approximately had something like 30 million kilograms of fruits and vegetables that have been traded on the platform, with a lot of buyers originating from 5 countries and 35 towns across Southern Africa. So, it's actually quite interesting in the age of technology, where now you're having a platform which matches farmers and their buyers, but also the services can be used by farmers of all sizes, from small-scale farmers to large commercial farmers, with buyers ranging from large South African listed companies to smaller retailers and wholesalers. So it just shows you that in the age of technology and everything that's happening, we are seeing a different way of people transacting as well.
Head of Foreign Exchange Execution at Rand Merchant Bank, Matete Thulare, thanks for your time this afternoon.